Hi everyone, it's Dr. Hudgens. I have read your discussion board posts and have provided feedback in the associated rubric on Blackboard for your review. It was really interesting to see all of the perspectives of how to handle an ethical issue within the workplace setting. What we typically would think would be a human resource issue or a policy violation issue truly can be looked at through the lens of an ethical issue that compromises patient safety and erodes the morale of a department. So it's great to see all of the insights as you guys shared those thoughts with one another. From a biblical standpoint, it was interesting to see that Luke chapter 3, verse 31 was the winner in being the most cited by several of you in your writing. So it's good to see you all were thinking with the Christian worldview in mind. One of the unique posts that had a strong biblical reference was one that came from Heather, your classmate. She referenced Matthew chapter 18, verse 15. And what that verse tells us is that if your brother or sister sins, go and point out their fault just between the two of you. If they listen to you, you have won them over. I think that's such a great perspective to remind us that as leaders that we're accountable to approach our teammate, whether we're in a position of authority or whether they're a peer, that we go to them one-to-one. We privately discuss a concern with them, and we do it with a kind, compassionate, loving heart. Sometimes we get frustrated with policy and procedure violations, and we feel like people are getting one over on the system or misusing their resources, and we get frustrated. So how we handle that may lead us to gossip or to share information that's outside of a confidence. Even leaders do this. So it's great to see Heather's reminder through Matthew 18, verse 15, that we are to go one-to-one and have that private conversation with the goal of helping them understand what's going on and return back into compliance or back within the fold. So all in all, I think that there was great feedback in there. From an APA format standpoint, I want to remind you of a few highlights. First, when you cite the Holy Bible within your work, you do not have to add that to the reference list. Different people have different perspectives of why it's not put in the reference list. Some have said that it's not put there because it's considered a personal communication. I like that explanation, although I don't know that that's the scholarly explanation. APA tells us that you don't put the Bible in a reference list because it's considered a classic work that everyone is familiar with. So it's not something that needs to be explained. So know that when you cite it, you're going to cite the book, the chapter, the verse, and then the version in which you find it. So if you use the King James Version or the New International, whatever version you use, you write that version out in the first citation in the body of your work. And then from that point on, as long as you keep the same version, you just have to cite the book, the chapter, and the verse. Nothing goes in the reference list. And if I can have one less thing I have to put in the reference list, I'm pretty happy with that. So remember that. Be mindful that when you develop your reference list, sometimes people get into the habit of copying references from other sources. Make sure that your reference list accurately reflects the references that you have cited in the body of your paper. What is called in the academic world padding a reference list is when you have references in your reference list that are not actually cited in the body of your work. And that's a form of plagiarism. Basically, what you're saying is you're attributing work to these authors that they didn't actually contribute to. So you want to be very mindful. If you've made that mistake so far, my assumption has been that you have not properly edited your reference list, and it's not a fatal mistake, but it's an important one that I want you to be very mindful of. The use of direct quotes. I'm going to encourage you at the graduate level that you do not use direct quotes unless there's absolutely no way that you could possibly paraphrase what is being said by an author. And there are a few things that I could see having that kind of impact. But a general author's comment, general information, at a graduate level, it is important to your professors that we understand that you understand what you read and that you phrase it in a way that demonstrates that understanding. And to take it one step further, not only are you paraphrasing what you read, telling us that you understand it, but tell us why it matters. Why are you putting that citation in that body of work? It's kind of the so what factor. So I want you to avoid doing direct quotes as much as possible. If you're in a pattern of them, I'm going to holler at you and say, hey, let's not do direct quotes. But I want you to be mindful of it. I'm more interested in knowing what you thought the author said and how it's relevant than having you copy and paste or rewrite what they've written verbatim. There are times that in my feedback, I'm going to make the statement that there are minor grammatical errors. If there is not a significant pattern of the same error over and over again, I am not going to give you lots of details on your grammatical errors. Every writer puts a comma in the wrong place, or occasionally doesn't match up their verb and their subject, or throws a preposition in the wrong place. That's just part of writing, and when you write a lot, you're just going to have some exposure where you're going to make mistakes. Most of those are attributed to proofreading, that if you had another set of eyes or you had a little bit more time, you're going to catch most of those. So when I tell you, there's some minor grammatical errors, that should tell you I need to slow down and go check a few things. If there's a pattern, if there's something that I notice that you really don't know how to do, I'm going to point it out. I'm going to tell you, hey, go back and look at how your verbs and your subjects agree, or look at sentence fragments. I'm going to give you some detailed feedback. I think that's about all I need to say about this week's work. The other thing I want to point out is that your work for week 3 is a strategic planning literature review. A common error for students is they don't understand the difference. They don't understand what it means to compare and contrast concepts. You're required to go in and look at the literature related to strategic planning and to tell us in the body or the literature that you find, 3 to 5 articles, what common themes do they share? And then tell us what's different. What things aren't they sharing? What things are they different about? Be very careful in this, because oftentimes people will do a summary of what they find, and that's not what you're being asked to do. You're being asked to critically analyze how are these literature reviews, these articles similar, and how are they different. So slow down and take the time and be thoughtful about your approach to that. I think that's all I need to say. I think it is time for the puppy's walk, so I'm going to have to sign off and get this posted for you all. Know that if I'm ever giving you feedback that you are unclear about or you disagree about, I want you to know that I'm happy to discuss it, open to any feedback that you have. We're early on in the course, so if there's something specific that you're struggling with, let's fix it now, so that in week 8 we're not dealing with it in your formal paper. I hope you guys have a week full of blessings, and that you guys take good care. I'm here if you need anything. Take care.